from competition investment. Audience members who don't work for Unitil, please raise your hand if you continually get 8 to 12% raises at your job, regardless of your performance. I didn't think so, neither do I. Now, Unitil has a good scorecard, but that's because they evaluate themselves. Audience members who don't work for Unitil, please raise your hand if you get to write your performance review and tell your customers and boss how great you are doing and they have no input. Of course not. I don't get to do that either. What strange universe is the DPU allowed to evolve, where the most expensive utility in the region gets regular increases in one of the poorest communities in the state, Fitchburg? Fitchburg has a disproportionate number of elderly, of college students, and of poor people. Unitil's subsidized rate for low-income customers is higher than the regular rate offered by municipal utilities. It's sky-high, unreasonably high, immorally high. It's shameful that our government thinks it's okay to force the struggling working and middle classes to pay for a subsidy for those even worse off than them, rather than make energy affordable for everyone by denying these regular rate increases. It's embarrassing to the poor that they have to ask for a handout in the form of a subsidy, rather than having the dignity of being able to pay their own way with reasonable rates. Unitil will often come to the DPU claiming they haven't had an increase in years, but it's a lie. They may not have had a raise in that particular component of the bill, but they've had increases in other components. We need to end this sham and simplify utility bills. One line item for the supply portion, where, thank you Dominion, I now have a choice, and another line item for everything we're stuck with Unitil for. High rates hurt businesses too, not just families and individuals. My boyfriend worked at a business in Fitchburg that went under after dealing with crippling utility rates. All the employees moved over to a business in Leominster with lower rates and have been working there for years now. But the owner lost his business, and Fitchburg lost a business and its tax revenue. The DPU's job is to serve the businesses and families of the Commonwealth. It's not to protect the utilities, and they're in many cases out-of-state investors. Many people didn't come to this hearing because they had lost all faith in you. But I know you are not mediators charged with finding a compromise position between the parties, but an independent body, fully empowered to deny this rate increase in its entirety. Please remember who you are supposed to serve and do so.
Thank you. The next speaker is Lori, and I can't read the last name, I'm sorry, F-R-E. Just for the record, could you identify yourself?
Me?
Yes.
Lori, French.
French. So you're wishing not to speak? Thank you. The next speaker is John, is it Keener? Keeney.
Good evening. I'm John Keeney, the Area Project Coordinator at New England Farm Workers Council. But we operate the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, better known as fuel assistance, in the 27 cities and towns in north central Massachusetts. I will be speaking on behalf of the roughly 3,000 Unitil customers we serve for either a cash benefit or made eligible for a public discount. A cold winter is in the forecast. This forecast, in conjunction with the President's dramatically reduced budget, will result in lower benefit levels that will make any rate increase a great hardship, especially on top of a high base. Currently, the maximum benefit for the poorest of our clients is projected to be $450, which is 71% of last year's maximum utility benefit of $635. Benefit levels decrease as a household's income increases as well. This coming year's lower benefits, in conjunction with a projected monthly increase of $10.02 for discount rate eligible customers, will leave them with a significant shortfall in meeting their electric costs. This is just one more hardship in an environment where many benefits are being cut. I am very grateful for such programs as arrearage management and a low-income discount, as well as the protection of the winter moratorium for those that have a financial hardship. The households that will be especially feel the increased rate and decreased benefit will be the people on a fixed income, particularly the elderly. Although elderly households are protected from termination as a group, they have always felt the obligation to pay their bills. They will make decisions on which bills they will have to pay and whether they can keep their heat at a safe temperature. As a result, as an example of this hard choice, is having heard from a dentist's office that elders have had to let the care of their teeth suffer at the risk of being too cold. This is one of many decisions that poor people have to make. Households that have an elder constitute 38% of the households we serve. An unduplicated count of households that have an elder, a child 5 or under, or a handicapped person make up 78% of all the people we serve. As a reference, we will have given Unitil almost $750,000 on behalf of the households we serve. This is approximately 12% of all our expenditures. Over the past few years, the money we have been able to pay on our clients' behalf has decreased through budget cuts. These continued cuts place an unmanageable burden that many of us cannot fully appreciate. I am grateful for the DPU's leadership in the outreach to our clients, and would like to thank you for your continued concerns for them and the consumers as a whole. Please consider the needs of our low-income population when making this rate hike decision. Thank you for providing me the opportunity of giving testimony on our clients' behalf.
Thank you. The next speaker is Ron Varney.
No, it's okay. Everything's been said.
Thank you, sir. And just for the record, is that V-A-R-N-E-Y?
Right.
Thank you. The next speaker is Carol Landine, on line 9. And for the record, ma'am, is that L-A-N-D-I-N-E? Thank you.
I just have basically a couple of questions and a statement. One is, why was this reserve not saved before? And why were the gas lines and the wires not kept up all along? And instead of taking the money from us, why don't they take it out of their bonuses?
Thank you, ma'am. The next speaker is William Haas, H-A-A-S-E. Mr. Haas. Or could it be H-A-N-S-E? Okay, William is not here. Let's move on to Carolyn Lucia. Hey, ma'am, could you just spell your first and last name for the stenographer, please?
The main point I'd like to it's repetitive, but it's worth saying again, is that the fiscal responsibility is lacking. They have taken money from us to do maintenance as part of their distribution charges, and they haven't performed. Because every time there's a storm, every time there's a problem, the whole system is just dysfunctional. And I don't understand why. I also have a home in another country, which is the most economically, it's much more expensive to live there. The cost of living is higher. The winters are much more severe than here. I have a home in Switzerland, and my rate is 6 cents a kilowatt hour. And I don't understand why my government is not able to do something instead of ripping off the poor people in Fitchburg, Middleburg, Townsend, and Ashby. If you drive back on the highway to go back to Boston, I invite you to go through some of these poor neighborhoods and see what these people are up against. I don't understand. They get 3 times the distribution rate to go into these triple deckers. It's robbery. They're not doing their maintenance. If you drive around through some of these towns, you can see they're not maintaining their infrastructure. It's usury.
Thank you. The next speaker is Melvin. And sir, could you just spell your last name?
So it's Melvin Bertram, B-E-R-T-R-A-M.
Thank you.
Some people refer to me as Mr. Paula Bertram. My wife is Paula Bertram, selectman Uber. Paula informed me of this meeting here tonight, and I wasn't going to come. I was like, whatever, right? And so she said, no, you're going. I said, okay, so I did a little research. In a few minutes, I did some research. I looked at National Grid. If you go on the National Grid webpage, and you look at their bill structure, and you add up all the fees and costs, you'll see their cost per kilowatt is about 6 cents. And now if you do the same thing on Unitil, you get that cost at about 11 cents. Now, I don't know about you, I try to boil things down to a very simple thing. What makes this light worth twice as much as the light in Leominster? That's all I want to know. Why is my light cost me twice as much as it does in another city? And now they want an increase. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Emelinda Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez is not present. Just for the record, it's Emelinda Rodriguez. And the next speaker is Kelly Johnson.
My name is Kelly Johnson, and I'm a Fitchburg resident. I didn't come with anything prepared. I've just been kind of jotting notes. But through my research, I found an article that said in 2011, the annual profit totaled $16.3 million. I'd like to say that this past year, I volunteered at a high school reality day, and I actually was the utilities table, and I got to sit next to Mr. Until, I guess is how you pronounce it, maybe. And I'm very conscious of my electric rate, what we use in my household as a single mother. And I looked at the rates that they were charging these high school students, and I said, these are outrageous. And he said, well, somebody has to pay my salary. So that was a little disturbing. So coming forth and talking about homes, you know, they have to recuperate their losses from these storms. They cut and trim trees, which take away from home values. They don't recuperate that by planting a new tree. We have people who are out of power for 2 weeks. Did Unitil step up and help these people with the food that they lost from their refrigerators and freezers? Did they help people who needed to stay in hotels and motels? Simple things like that. It's recuperation costs. Also, I apologize because these are notes. I'd like you to take into consideration as well our elderly and our handicapped. they often are